Welcome back. All right, so this is take two. Take one was sidelined by the rabbits. So we're gonna do this again. All right. So news of the day for all you fine people for your Tuesday. Of course, I will be staying home today. I will be watching the 10 National Hockey League games that are on as much as I can of those 10 games. They're pretty well spread out, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But let's go ahead and jump in with some alarming news involving a lawsuit, which names the Philadelphia Flyers as the defendants in this. Now, what's interesting is it's two members of the training staff. Both of them have developed an illness. In one case, it has become blood cancer. It is likely the other would as well. And they're stating that this is from prolonged exposure to fumes from the Zamboni. All right, so they're training, they're around it. In one case, he's been there since 2000. In the other case, he's been there since 2004. So that's a long time. A long time, and they're saying that poorly ventilated conditions and that prolonged exposure have led to them both becoming ill. And I mean, it's nothing to joke about on any level. It's nothing to scoff at. And it does look like the conditions they have are rare, and so there's not a lot of reasons that would develop outside of what they're stating in the lawsuit. But they are both still employed with the Philadelphia Flyers. Therefore, I think, to me, this sounds like something that gets settled out of court. This sounds like the kind of thing that lawyers will sit down and hash it out. I don't think this goes far. But we'll see, right? That it can be unpredictable. Maybe it does go further, but hopefully this all gets worked out and their costs are covered in this case. I'm sure they're looking for coverage of medical costs because that can get really expensive very, very quickly. It is odd, though, because you would think that there are cleaner alternatives and that there wouldn't be that risk. But, workplaces, different set of circumstances. And, yeah, so, we'll see what happens with that, right? Flames news. Johnny Gaudreau last night hits 600 points. So congratulations to him. Of course, he is potentially UFA this summer. So the Flames are going to sit down with Johnny Gaudreau and try to figure out a way to keep him around. Obviously, their plan is to keep him around long term. And I think Johnny'd like to stick around. But other news with milestones involve familial milestones. So Keith Tkachuk, father to Matthew and Brady Tkachuk. So this is my Tkachuk jersey. Keith's best season, 50 goals, 48 assists for 98 points. Neither of the boys are going to hit 50 goals this season. I think they both have the potential to get there at some point. But Matthew has done a fantastic job. And I'm just going to say that for Matthew Tkachuk, who I think it was like 4 years ago, we were talking about his temperament and how he was riding that line of what was illegal or an illegal hit. He has done so much better over the last few years. I really don't hear about it anymore. It's very rare that somebody complains about a Tkachuk hit that I've seen. So he really has taken that next step. And then offensively, right now he has 39 goals, 59 assists for 98 points. So with 1 point in their next game, he would pass his father's all-time best season of 98 points. When they asked Keith about it, Keith's answer was, basically, well, when he reaches 500 goals, then he can give me a call. So this is that back and forth that they have. This is why I'd like to see at some point both of the brothers playing in the same team, because I could totally see them trying to one-up each other, and good luck stopping that. And of course, the discussion with Brady when his contract was up was whether or not he might want to go to St. Louis, whether or not he might want to go somewhere else. And then he signed a long-term extension with Ottawa instead. So now some of the conversation around Matthew is going to be similar, as he's a restricted free agent this year. He can take his qualifying offer, which should just be 1 year, and become an unrestricted free agent next year. So that'll be in 2023. So if there's a sense of urgency with Calgary to try to win one this year or next year, that would be why, right? But again, they have the opportunity to sit down and work out a long-term extension. I would not be surprised if Matthew Tkachuk works out a long-term extension. I can't recall seeing anything about him not being happy in Calgary or him wanting a trade or wanting out. There's always going to be that speculation, right? But I don't think there's a lot behind it. There didn't seem to be a lot behind it with Brady either when his contract was being negotiated in Ottawa. But we'll see. If he just takes the 1-year qualifying offer, and if he doesn't want to talk extension, then we have a whole different conversation around Calgary next year. But for now, I think it's safe to assume that this Tkachuk jersey should probably be good for a while to go. Or for a while to come, for like probably, I would say at least the next 4 or 5 years. I don't see any reason to leave a team when you're successful. Players do like being on a successful team, so that should be fine. So, Columbus news. So they're in tonight against San Jose, a team that is winless in their last 10. Don't worry, Sharks fans, I'm not doing a video on it. I feel like the less I talk about what's happened with San Jose since the All-Star break, the better, probably for Sharks fans. Once the season's over, we can look at the season as a whole, and I do that with every team anyways. But yeah, for Columbus tonight, they will be without Laine, they will be without Werenski, so that severely weakens that lineup. Werenski, of course, their best defenseman. Laine, their best pure goal scorer. No offense to Oliver Bjorkstrand, but I think comparing the two, I think Laine's the better overall goal scorer. So that's tough for them. We'll see if that leads to a San Jose victory tonight or not. Breaks that 10-game winless streak. But yeah, for Columbus, they're back down to NHL 500. They're going to be outside the playoffs this year, obviously, and we'll see what happens in the offseason. But I've said this recently, and I'll say it again. It does feel like Columbus is going to be back in the hunt next year. I don't think they're that bad off, and I think there's some positives coming into their lineup. If Kent Johnson becomes what they think he will, then they're going to be dangerous next year. Montreal news. Yoel Armia has been allowed to return to Finland to take care of a personal family matter. So this has to be pretty serious for him to head home to Finland. He obviously won't be in their lineup for tonight's game at home against Minnesota. I wish him all the best. I hope everything's fine in his world, and that whatever the family matter is, that it gets cleared up quickly, and that it's not as bad as it could look, seeing somebody having to go overseas to be with their family. But anyways, again, hopefully everything's okay there, and if it's not, hopefully it becomes okay soon. Interesting news with the New York Islanders. I know the Islanders are outside the playoffs. They've failed to qualify and all that, but Ratu has joined Bridgeport, so he'll finish out in Bridgeport. He'll get his first taste of action in North America. He, of course, slid so dramatically in the draft. So for the New York Islanders, if he turns out to be a decent NHL player, he's going to end up looking like a steal. It was interesting to me that he slid as far as he did. I understood scouts' perspectives on it. I understood why some GMs passed on him. But again, for Lou Lamoriello, if he can play as soon as next year, it could end up looking like a home run. It could end up being one of those situations where maybe there's an overcorrection. That does happen, where a player will have a rough year, their draft year, and there's an overcorrection where nobody wants to draft him, and then they turn it around. So again, when a player is 18 or 19, it is too early to write them off. It is a little bit early, but again, as a scout, you have to go with what you've got, and the scouts weren't that impressed with what Ratu was able to do in his draft year. But again, it'll be interesting to see how he does at Bridgeport and how quickly he picks up the North American game, which is quite different. Of course, for St. Louis fans, tonight could end up being a big night. Could be their 10th straight win. If they get it, of course, there's a video tomorrow about that 10 wins in a row. I honestly, I think it would be kind of fun if they got it. I don't know that I'd like that to be at the expense of the Boston Bruins, but yeah, I mean, 10 straight wins is always fun, and it feels like we've had a lot of 10-game winning streaks, that it is an odd year, that there are a lot of haves, there are a lot of have-nots, there's a lot of goals being scored, just some craziness this year. And so another 10-game winning streak, sure, why not? I'm even going to throw together a playlist of all the 10-game winning streak videos I've done in this channel's history and throw them together, because I think that would make an interesting playlist, to be honest. I think that would be kind of fun to look back, especially on the ones from years ago, where a team might go on a 10-game winning streak and then it just doesn't end up working out. But yeah, so we'll see how things go for St. Louis tonight, whether or not they get 10. And what will help them is that Boston will still be without 2 key players. Pastrnak and Lindholm. I was very happy with them acquiring Hampus Lindholm. Could end up being a great deal. That being said, if he's not playing, there's no way to really evaluate it at this time. And both Pastrnak and Lindholm will not be in the Bruins lineup for the 2-game road trip, including tonight's game in St. Louis. So they're hoping to get them back in time for the playoffs. My concern being, and I mentioned this in the preview, that if they continue to slide as they have been recently, that then they end up with Florida in the first round. I don't think that's a good matchup for Boston. This is a team whose goaltending at times has looked kind of shaky. Their blue line has had some issues at times as well. Yeah, throw Florida at them, the team that's averaging about 8 goals per game right now. What could possibly go wrong for the Boston Bruins? The answer is everything. But anyways, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.